So Patty Keating, welcome to Fiat Is A Scam.
Fiat is a scam. Oh my
Fiat Is
God.
A Scam.
I couldn't have said it better myself, bro. This is the crack on crypto. This is
This
how
is
we're going to change our lives. We're going to free ourselves from the debt-based system, and we're going to become abundant, happy, healthy, and wealthy and blessed.
no, that's right, bro. Because if we stay in the current system, we're going to be all the opposite things of those, eh, bro?
Well, look, the system is designed. You inherited it from school to believe a certain way, to believe a certain history, to do what you're told, to become a number, to become, a part of the system. Until you actually elevate your frequency to abundance and happiness, joy, you're never gonna actually access that within yourself until you start opening your mind to the fact that it is your God-given right to be free. Your time is free. Spend your time with your kids and become wealthy.
That's what it's all about, bro. But look, I mean, so great to see you, man. I haven't seen you for. I was trying to
Bro,
remember
what a
before.
great way to connect over this, lad. You're a jiu-jitsu, you're a martial artist. I've seen your journey, bro. You're a beast, man. You're a great man. You're a family man. And here we are, like on the same path once again, bro. So we're blessed, bro.
That's really good, eh, bro? I was trying to remember the last time I saw you, and I think it was at the Freedom Markets here in Queenstown. If you remember that, back in the COVID days.
I remember it all very well, bro. I remember it all
You
like it was just.
yeah, bro. And I was also remembering, you'll probably remember this. We're just going to talk about COVID real quickly
Oh, let's
because,
do it, bro. I'm all in. Let's go.
yeah, man, because I remember when that first kicked off, because obviously you and I had known each other through jiu-jitsu before that time. And then when it all started happening, you, bro, were the first person that I knew that was awake to the
Yeah, bro.
scam of the COVID thing. And I remember
I
when
knew, bro.
I remember when I called you, bro, because I was super concerned you were going to be doing some underground jiu-jitsu, and I was asleep, mate, and I was worried about the government. I was like, bro,
Yeah,
when I called you, I was like,
yeah.
Patty, what are you doing, bro? This is so
Bro,
bad.
can I elaborate on that experience? Because I'd love to share my side of that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So when COVID hit, look, bro, I
you did.
knew for years. They tried it with, like, I think Ebola years ago, and I seen it. Like, of course they're going to shut the place down. And I remember the whole world was shutting down, bro, the day. And I wasn't having it. I was like, they're going to stop you. Next of all, you're going to be getting injections to go into jiu-jitsu. And that happened. That's the crazy shit, right? And
Didn't
I was
it?
like, no, I'm not playing for this. I was a coach, I was on a visa, the whole shebang. And I was like, screw this. I'm not letting people control me or my team. And I remember the day before it was locking down, and I put out a message I had a group chat of about, like, I don't know, 150 people or something. And I said, look, I'm not going to play by the rules. If anyone wants to come over to my house and play and train and stay together, you're more than welcome. And I remember you messaged me, or you called me. And I remember I actually felt it, because you're a family man. I was like,
Mhm.
wow. And I respected the fact that you rang me. And I remember I said one thing. I was like, I respect that you rang me, bro, but don't believe everything you're told. And do you know what I done? I actually, as soon as you put down the phone, or I put down the phone to you, I sent a message out to that group chat, because I realized, like, whoa, this is serious. I could lose my visa. I could lose everything. I could be kicked out of the country. And I said, hey, look, I've decided that I'm not going to do jiu-jitsu during this time. And then I made a secret underground jiu-jitsu. I named it Underground Jiu-Jitsu. I said, listen, all the Sky Boys that want to come train, my back window's open tomorrow. We're all going to train in the garage. And bro, we had the best rolls of our life. 40-minute rolls to the death, underground jiu-jitsu. It was a moment in time where, it separated the men from the boys. And then eventually you went on to actually, during the deeper lockdowns, you created your own gym. You realized what happened, and we were on the same path. We were two leaders in that space, and it took a lot of courage back then to do that. I literally was sneaking 20 people into my garage, bro, during the middle of lockdown, to train, to have the best roles of our life. And I wouldn't train it for the world, mate. And there was other gyms, they were kicking out their own teams because they wouldn't inject stuff into their bloodstream. Are you mad? Like, that's not real leadership. I earned my stripes during that time, and I earned some best friends in my life. And as well, I respect that call, bro, and I still love you for that.
No, well, look, bro, like I said, I don't mind admitting that, you know what I mean? Because, I woke up pretty soon after, I have to say, because I was like, bro, this isn't lining up. Where's the bodies? It just
Yeah.
smelled. And then,
Oh,
once
yeah.
I figured it out, but I like telling people that story, mate, because that just reminds me of how asleep that I was, that
I
I
respect
just,
that, bro.
man, I would never do that thing now. And then, of course, once I did wake up, that was it. You know what I mean? We were
But you
no
have to
mum.
understand, it's not like, you're talking about the dark forces of Earth here. We're not talking about some joke. It's like these
Mm,
fellas have the books from the Library of Alexandria, mate.
mm,
They're casting evil spells, bro. It's not a joke. Like, they're
mm.
they're brainwashing a whole mass society. It's like, this is not you're not messing around with, like, tiddlywinks here. You're taking on some of the most powerful forces on Earth. And the old granny that was picking up apples and not wearing a mask in the supermarket, she was the superhero, bro.
Yeah.
And the people that were running away, and they were all affected by the frequency that they were outputting for months on the radio. So I mean, like, you can't blame people for not, like, if you're not awake before that, it's very hard to cross that barrier because you got to face being crazy. You're like, oh
Mm.
well, is it me or is it the whole world? Actually, no, it's the whole world is controlled by the same people, and they're trying to manipulate you, and in fact, controlling your money and have you on this treadmill and sucking all your energy. They're probably vampires or something, you know.
It's a total matrix, eh, bro? And like, it's only
Well, I think John Lennon said it. It says the more real you get, the more fake the world gets, bro.
yeah,
I swear to God, I've looked back at me in my years. I'm like, mate, I've been right all along. I've been sitting around in school going, this was a lot of bollocks. And you know what? Now that I'm a grown man, I'm like, I was right. And I'm
you
like,
were.
and now I'm be fully financially free. I'm gonna live the life of my dreams. And why? Because I didn't listen to, school or people who told me how to think.
Mm,
It was like, no,
mm.
I found my own spirit. I found truth within myself. And as long as I keep following that, you can't be fooled, you know?
Nah, and I think that, I think intrinsically I always felt that too, bro. But because the societal pressures, I always felt like I was a bad kid because I never wanted to play the game. You just feel it in your heart, right? You knew
You
that
do,
I
you
don't want to
do,
do
and
this.
it
I'm not
makes you
doing
feel
it.
bad, you know?
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
different, if you think a certain way, different, like, even look at, like, in those situations during COVID and that, like, man, you had your whole family maybe, like, turned against you. That's serious shit.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and people, like, for like yourself, you had kids, man.
Mm,
Like, I was fine because I was like, right, well, no one's taking on me. Like, here we go. Like, I was
mm,
waiting for it. I was waiting for years, but you've got kids and there's more fears added to that, and it's like, whoa, you've got to protect this thing. And you don't always know the way. That's where you rely on each other for brothers that you can trust in. You take validation in each other, not some bloody radio frequencies that's telling you evil, 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 evil. You're going to die. You're going to die. You go, hold on a second. Now I'm a piece of earth. I'm fine. I'm breathing. I'm happy and healthy. If you're going to shut down the world and take away the exercise, but, like, leave open the off licenses, I lost my job. I lost
mm,
my job. I got
mm.
fired from my job and nearly didn't finish my apprenticeship, nearly lost my visa. I let go of everything because, but I also gained immense
Oh, bro.
sovereignty and power. And that stands with me today,
It's sort of a litmus test, eh? When you meet somebody, as soon as you figure out that they weren't about it, I'm like, mate, I already automatically trust that
Yeah.
person.
And, you can't judge. It's very important not to judge because people, it's not everyone's torch to hold, It's
Oh,
not everyone's torch to hold. A lot of people that can't face you know, the truth, like, actually the truth.
mm.
And the same goes with the system, It's like the system's completely rigged. Like, it's not about it, like.
Nah. And then, of course, what about now, bro? Is today the UK announcing digital IDs, implementing that,
Oh,
other
bro,
countries doing. We're into it
listen,
again. This is the
this
next
is the
stage.
plan. And if you think COVID was bad, bro, this is the plan.
Mm,
Like, look, like, that was the drill and it
mm,
worked on a lot of people, but also the people that didn't work on, we got more powerful,
mm,
that 10% is more powerful than, and it's like the leader. It's like the when everyone else goes right, the maverick goes left, and those
mm,
free thinkers, those people of spirit, and, they're a lot more powerful than people that follow, like, everyone
mm.
follows a leader, and it's like being a leader in these spaces is like, okay, that just gives you a good cause. When the evil forces come, I feel better because I'm like, right, actually, I have something to do here. I'm not like hammer nails. It's like, right, let's take on. That's like it's a warrior's journey, isn't it? And that's why we train martial arts.
And it's
Yeah.
this yin and yang type situation. And obviously, COVID ultimately was awesome, eh, bro? Because look where
Oh,
we are
bro,
now. Like,
it was the
we're awake.
best time of my life.
Yeah, and you
And
met
do you know
somebody.
what? Can I share something? Like,
Mm,
I really, because, during COVID, like, actually in the underground jiu-jitsu, right? I actually injured my knee. And then
mm,
I was like, okay, I can't train. I went up into the forest for 6 days and fasted for 6 days in the cave, bro, during lockdowns. Like, and I was like, there's no better time to do it because I wasn't missing anything. I was getting paid to do it. And I was
yeah,
like, no, this is serious shit. I need to go. I fasted, I meditated for 6 days, and I really tuned into, like, what's actually happening here. Right. And
yeah,
you know what? Like, spirit came true and said, this is a gift. This is a
yeah,
gift. And it came out of my mouth. I really had to tune into, like, what was happening because it wasn't a joke. Like, I was
yeah,
getting locked out of, I couldn't go get a bloody haircut, mate. Couldn't
yeah.
go
Oh,
buy a loaf of bread, mate. You're joking me. It's the serious shit. And it came out of my mouth. I was like, this is a gift. A lot of spirit came through at that time. And a lot of powerful, that was the biblical times. And we're still in it.
yep.
And when these times come, you have the choice. Do you follow and do you probably do, what's wrong and not face it? Or do you rise and change the world in some way, shape, or form, change your own world? And, how you change the world is changing yourself and having sovereignty within yourself, having belief within yourself, and taking ownership of your health, your wealth, your mind. These are the most important things in life. And if you're not doing that, take this as a wake up call because it's so important. You need to actually start having integrity and intuition into your own journey. Otherwise, you're just going to work your whole life doing bullshit that no one cares about, really.
Your spirituality as well, bro. Remember the first time that I did ayahuasca, you were there, bro. With a group of us, and I have to
Yeah,
say, I mean, if you remember that weekend, but
I
that
remember well.
actually that because I haven't spoken to you since then, but that actually changed my life, bro. That ceremony, and I've gone on to do, I think, another 7. I've not been to South
Wow,
America yet. I've
wow,
done another 7, yeah, and
wow.
I haven't been to, South America yet, but that's kind of the
Yeah,
next phase,
yeah, brother.
because at
Oh,
the only thing that's holding me back is, because 'cause I've got my young kids, and I don't know if you
yeah.
remember that first ceremony that we did,
I remember very well, bro. I remember like it was yesterday. It was a
that's right.
constellation of great men and warriors, and we
It
all
was.
came together. It was one of the most
Yeah.
powerful ceremonies ever.
So, I left in the morning, you'll remember I just had to get up because I just
I
needed to
remember
be
it well.
around.
I was watching your journey, bro. I felt you.
Yeah.
I was. It was. So, we were all sharing so much love and connection that we were all intertwined in each other's
Mm,
journeys, and I respected even that you left to go home,
yeah.
and you
I
know
had
it was
to.
so powerful.
I had to see my partner who's
I
now my
love it.
wife, but I had to see
I
my
love it,
kids,
bro.
and bro, it was too
I
much,
love it.
and so the idea of at the moment, because my kids are still young, the thought of
Yeah.
going to South America and leaving them and do that, I'm not prepared to do that. I think
Go with him when he's older, you know.
yeah, yeah, I needed to be
Go with
around them,
him.
but
Do it with
just
him
got
and have a spiritual quest with your son, you know.
yeah,
Like I respect that, bro, and I really see your family. And I've seen even just a small snippet of your son how he's so grown, bro. And I
mm.
know you're such a family man. You know, you're like me. And wow, bro, congratulations on a beautiful family and a beautiful wife. I'm very happy for you, bro.
Yeah, thanks, brother. But I tell you what, it is the greatest gift from God, bro, to have a son because, well, any children, obviously, but
I can't wait myself.
what I've learned, man, is that it gives me an opportunity to be the best man that I possibly can be. Because how can I be a
Yeah,
good
bro.
father to my son if I'm not? So it's
Absolutely.
actually makes you elevate your own.
It
Like, I want to be
does.
the best version of myself because you know
100%, bro.
he needs to
But
learn
it's
from me.
activating, isn't it? You know, you've got
Mm,
something bigger to think than just yourself. You know, you're in a selfless state, you know, and being a good role model, you know, like this is what it's all about. Being like
yeah,
being that leader, being stepping on the mats, having respect, you know, teaching them something. You know, you can teach
yeah,
him jujitsu, a superpower. Like, you
yeah,
know, it's like a lot of reasons why children or we don't respect our parents is because they don't actually teach us something invalid. And like you teach a kid a skill like hunting or fishing or martial arts, he's going to look up to you and go, wow, my dad knows some shit, you know? So
yeah.
it's great to see, bro. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to those days myself. I think that's going to be some of the greatest days of my life too, you know, with children.
Oh, I can guarantee it, mate. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it. But mate, you're just on your own mission at the moment. You're on your own quest. And when did you leave New Zealand?
I literally hung up my belt, my tool belt. I sold everything I owned about 4 weeks ago, bro. And I've set out. I've made some good steps towards financial freedom. I'm expecting a lot more this year, and I'm just leaving behind my old paradigm, bro. I'm going, no, I
Yeah,
can't. Like, I'm not. I'm here. I want to inspire people. I want to like
yeah,
live my dreams, and I've done a lot of great things in my life. I feel, but I feel still like there's more for me. You know, there's more for me, and this financial freedom, helping people create wealth, doing things like this. This is what I want to be doing: podcasts and using my voice, using my wisdom and my experience to share. I mean, like even just that insight in about COVID. You know, that's real shit. You know, we
mm,
shared that, bro. That's as real as it gets, and those stories I want to share. And you know, I want to share every piece of me. You know, like any way I can help men, especially. You know, develop. You know, whether starting martial arts, traveling, believe in themselves, stop drinking, stop taking drugs, surround yourself with the right people, find your tribe. Oh, like this is what it's about.
mm.
For me, that all happened in New Zealand. I went and spent 2 months in the jungle, bro, and got spat out of the jungle after doing 30 ayahuasca ceremonies. I was like a smacked arse. Didn't know what way was up was down, and I just got spat out in the Queenstown. And I
Oh,
thought the jungle was the real journey, but actually it was New Zealand, and New Zealand nurtured me, bro. Stopped drinking, went through all of COVID, like really found myself, developed myself, found people that I loved, you know, found love too, and created. Well, I left New Zealand a carpenter, a qualified
mm,
carpenter. I left my New Zealand, you know, on my way to being financially freedom free, if not this year, for like fully financially free, I'd say. Let's say the greatest amount of wealth I've ever had in my life, right?
mm,
I've left New Zealand with a woman that I love, and I left New Zealand being a volunteer fireman, you know? And
mm,
all of those things I actually predicted to my mother when I was a child, you know, all those things. And she said to me, if you imagine when I became a carpenter, if you become a carpenter and you become a fireman, you've done everything you've ever said you do. And after that, what I said was, I want to create my own business and probably like not even based around creating money. I'd love to create something that's free for people. You know, that's my real goal, something
yeah,
altruistic, something philanthropic. You know, I
yeah.
feel like I want to be a philanthropist where anywhere I go, and anyone I touch and connect with, I just change their lives in some way, shape, or form. I want to help as much as I can. You know, obviously I have to like develop that within myself. I don't even know what it looks like, you know. So pretty much, I've just set out to do that. I've left New Zealand. I've stopped building. I can't trade my time for money anymore. I'm all in on crypto, and I'm all in on myself. And I'm just going to back myself. And in the next 3 years, I'm just going to recreate myself. That's basically, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm going to create something online. I'm going to create coaching online. I'm going to do more podcasts. I'm going to share my journey, you know, because I have a lot of experience with martial arts, yoga, plant medicines, creating wealth, you know, like it's all the stuff is already there for me. So I just got to really step into that now and align with the right people. And I think this is a great way of doing it.
Mate, you are the perfect guy for that, bro. You are. You're a true leader. And do you? So I've got a pretty simple philosophy that I say
Yeah.
to myself, which is always do your best, always do the
Yeah.
right thing, and let God take care of the rest. And I
Yeah,
feel
bro.
that by living that way, is if you're doing your best, you know,
Yeah.
and you're doing the right thing, even if you think this might, you know, I've got an opportunity to do better out of this, but do the
Yeah.
right thing because
Yeah.
it creates a positive energy and good things will
It
come back.
does,
So, and
bro.
then, yeah, so I became Christian probably last year. So I've got a,
Amen, brother.
yeah,
Congratulations. That's incredible. I'm so happy that I know you shared that with me, and I know I'm so happy that you found faith because a man of faith. It doesn't matter whether he's Muslim, Christian. I
yeah,
respect men of faith, and I'm a man of God too. I'm not tied down to any one religion. I'm a very spiritual man, but I think that's actually one of the most valuable things on earth is faith.
yeah. I mean, it's all, you know, from all those parts. In fact, ayahuasca was a bigger eye opener to
Yeah,
me. I mean, you know, some sort of traditional Christians probably wouldn't agree with that, but they've not experienced it. You know, when you have
yeah,
that experience with God, like I'm
yeah.
telling you that, you're like,
Oh yeah.
okay, this is real.
Yeah, that's the
and
real stuff. That's what
yeah,
that's the blessing.
yeah,
Actually, connecting with God. I have a saying like God loves us. I say it all the time. And people
mm,
probably think I'm weird saying that, but I literally, I feel blessed and I
yep.
feel that God loves us,
He
you know?
loves
And it's
you,
like,
bro. He loves you for
God
sure.
love absolutely loves me. I'm a
No,
man of
good.
God, right? And I'm a warrior of God, right? And I heard a great explanation of God from, I think it was Yogananda. And he said, God is like an art that you cultivate within yourself over years. You're not
Mm,
just given a guitar and you play this beautiful song. Like, you don't just hop on the mats and all of a sudden know how to do omoplatas and all these things. It's an art that you develop over
yeah.
years within yourself. And then you start to experience it. And the more and more you experience it, the more it becomes real. You know?
Mm,
And God, in fact, is actually goodwill and good deed and good energy. You think taking psychedelics is makes you spiritual? No. Like that gives you an experience and you can contact other realms and interact with elemental beings and all that stuff. But actual true essence of God is being a good person. And
mm,
how you act, like I have another saying is like do a good deed every day, you know. I think Aristotle said to Alexander the Great, if you don't do a good deed today, you haven't ruled as emperor. And he was the
mm,
emperor of the whole world, you know. So to
mm,
say, even if you have all the money, all the wealth, buy someone a coffee randomly. Give
mm.
someone a nice compliment.
Yeah.
I love buying dinners and helping. Like, just something about it. Like, and I try and do that every day in my practice. And I believe the more I do that, the more I attract
Oh,
in good.
absolutely. The more you
Yeah,
put it out there, the more it comes back, that's for sure.
it really is. It comes tenfold too, bro. It comes back in tenfold.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be invited into this men's sort of prayer group, sorry, breakfast
Oh, wow.
sort of every Wednesday, and, you know, I'd never
Beautiful.
really been in a group of men Christians like that, and so
Yeah,
we
it's another
talk about
realm.
scripture and a bit of prayer, but one of the
Yeah,
things that I learned really early on is they always would say, "Oh, any prayers," you know, and, you know, because I was just new to it, it's like, "Oh, no, I'm all good.
yeah,
I'm good over here, bro. Everything's
yeah, yeah,
perfect in
yeah,
my
yeah,
world."
yeah, yeah.
But then this idea of like people would say to me, "Oh, I'm praying for you," you know, and I just, oh, that's just sort of a
Beautiful.
platitude, you know what I mean? That they just say that, but
Oh, they're
they
praying for you,
actually
bro.
are. Yeah, man. So then, so this is what I've been doing, bro. Is you know, if you have problems with people, and you know, because I used to be a bit of a hater, right? And so
Same.
now when I just pray for them instead, you know, like even my wife and I will be having conversations, people will pop up and we're like, we just got to pray for
Wow,
them. And then
bro.
in the process of
That's
doing that,
so
it's so
amazing.
good.
The
Yeah.
power of that. It's like
Mm.
sending love to someone. You know, if someone's
Yeah.
bothering you, the first thing you do is go send love. You know,
Yeah.
oh, that's so powerful. That's an incredible thing to be doing. Like
Oh,
that
bro, it's awesome.
itself doesn't matter what religion. If you're praying, that's actually what you need to do. You need to pray for your enemies. You need to
Yeah.
pray for the people you hate. And that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing. And unless you do that, you never get out of the cycle of eye for an eye. Basically, that's what keeps happening. You know,
But here's the thing, mate. I can honestly tell you now that
it
normally
works,
I'd have a list this long, my stab list, like, right, and I don't have any now, you know. I can, like,
bro.
I mean, it's a
I'm
wonderful
gonna
thing.
use that. I'm gonna use it, bro, because that's so good. You know. Do you know how I pray, bro? Do you know, like my pray? I pray. multiple times a day. I pray
Mm,
when I sit down and eat food.
mm.
And I pray, my first thoughts, I try and bring in prayer and gratitude, of course, because gratitude hooks you up to the
Gratitude.
sources of life. Gratitude, if you're grateful for how much wealth and abundance you have, you're probably going to attract more. But I sit down and pray before I eat my food. I pray for my health. I'm not actually praying for anything. I'm grateful for my body. I
Yeah.
say, I'm so happy and grateful now for this beautiful food, for this beautiful animal giving us life. I'm so happy and grateful now for, the abundance, my ability to travel and live my dreams. I'm so happy and grateful for the love of my life, my mother, my partner, and all my friends, and it's like people would think you're weird, Like I literally sit down, I'm sitting down in the hospital, and actually I pray, like I literally
Mm.
pray, and like I remember when I started all this a couple of years ago, I was like, man, probably think I'm weird, but now I'm like, I couldn't to sit
Nah.
down and eat food and not give gratitude is insane to me. Like it's actually insane. And I reckon, yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead,
bro.
bro.
I was just gonna
Uh,
say the same thing. Like I just don't care.
yeah,
You
no,
know
bro.
what I mean? I
If you're
just
look,
don't care. I
we're
used to
made men.
care.
We wear our stripes. Like it's like there's no going. I live and breathe it. It's not for
Yeah.
this. This is not a show. Like this is
Nah,
how I
man.
live. Like, this is a real.
And it's real interesting. A lot of people that are in my life that, because I want to tell people that I'm a Christian, not because,
Yeah,
it's just like I'm proud of that,
you should be proud, bro.
and I've not heard too many negative like, again, I don't care. This is what it
Yeah,
is. But I just and the amount of people that have actually spoken to me in private and just gone, oh yeah, well, I think this and I think that, and
yeah.
I'm like, good man, like it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Well, the main thing is you have a community of people with faith,
Mm.
right? Surround yourself with people with faith, bro. It's a winning formula. Like your life's going to be better. You're going to have
Yeah.
people praying for you. Like think about that. Like you're not going to find that in the pub. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to find people praying for you in the pub. You want people who want to
Yeah,
fight you.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like surround yourself with people who are actually I love it. Like, even if you're Christian, I've met some really big Jesus guys, and and they're about it. And he's like, he's missionaries and lived his whole life, but there's something about him. I'm like, wow,
yeah.
I like this guy's energy, because he like, I'd say God loves us just for the crack. And he just straight away, amen, and I just
Yeah.
love it. Like, even like, what I was thinking, right? And you're a martial artist, you know the crack, right? Think about Khabib and his team, right? And think about them taking on Conor McGregor, Cokehead
Mm.
Gobshite, right? Those men are in there training, wrestling like absolute beasts of men, right? And then after, I mean, you're talking about the hardest training, the best training, the highest level in the world. And then after, they go and bow and pray
Yeah,
together, bro.
yeah,
Imagine the power of that shit, mate.
yeah.
You couldn't even imagine it. And that's for me. I respect that. Like that's actually the life I want to live. Really, like sharpen your iron sharpens iron. But then like even Khabib says it. He says like being a wrestler is great, but being a man of faith
Yeah.
is way more powerful because we're actually here to, that's actually what we're here to do. Creating wealth, creating all these things actually can cause a lot of problems, like it comes with like issues. If you're creating wealth, like you have to rise all the boats at the same time. Like you have to have your body, your health, and in your health, your wealth. You need your wealth up here, but you also need your spiritual practices and your altruistic practices in line. Because if you attain a lot of wealth and you're still conquered by lusts or any of these things, it's going to cause more problems. So you have to rise all the boats at the same tide, and spiritually be aware too, because if you haven't got a cause for your wealth that you create, and if you haven't got a reason to give back, you need to know what you're going to give back. One of the most important rules of creating wealth is you actually need to know what you want to give back. And for me, it's
100%.
like creating a school, creating a dojo, and it's, place where kids can come and train for free. All these different things. You need to have a good cause, because otherwise it might come with traps and tricks further down the line. Because of course money is very powerful, and it can make you think you're God itself. It can give you all this power. It can, like it can lead you down all these roads, and I think that's a very important part for me of creating wealth is, you need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, because otherwise it could make you even more unhappy.
Well, bro, I wonder if the way I think about money now, is it's an energy, right? So we always talk about it being an abstract construct, money, because
Yeah.
this is one of the in Bitcoin, the
Love it.
orange pilling moment is when I heard the question, what is money? That was that moment where I was like, what is money? I never
Bro, no
knew
one
what
even
that
knows.
was. No,
No one even knows
but
what he is.
that's right. But it was a great awakener for me, because I was like, far out,
Yeah.
what actually is money? And then
Yeah.
obviously I've been on this journey similar to you for the last sort of 5 years, learning
Yeah.
economics and learning what money is, or what I consider money. And
Exactly.
what it's come down to is, for me, I feel it's an energy, right? Money is
It is an
energy.
idea.
And so when you have all those things that you just you said about, doing all those good things and having your intentions and all that
Yeah,
right. That's what creates that positive energy, which
that's
is
it.
what money is, because the paper that we spend or the numbers on the screen,
Yeah.
that isn't it.
No,
There's
doesn't
an
even mean it.
energy
Like
flow.
it's just literally a piece of paper, you know. Well,
Yeah.
like currency, it's a current, right? It's like
Mhm.
water; it flows,
Yes.
it channels. You know, it's like if it's flowing toward you, just got to learn how to channel it towards you. You know, but also you can't hold on to it because some of the even the psychological effects of me of and witnessing and self studying within myself. I've created some wealth now. It's like okay. You have a fear that you might lose it or something, you
Yeah.
know. You have these, and that's a constant state of lack. Like, so you need
Mhm.
it. Like, actually, what people are in is a state of lack saying I
Mhm.
have not got money or these all these like things that probably you've been handed down from your parents or whatever these like constructs of what money is you need to learn how to actually use and develop money. It's like okay, it comes in, it flows, and it flows back out. Use it for good things and like not be not be holding on to it like oh no I need to save, I need to like hang on to this thing. No, it's like I got to use it and
Let
let it
it go.
flow in and out of me and just let it like let you just be a vehicle of it.
It's that difference between an abundant mindset and a scarce mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, bro.
There's money's everywhere,
Mate, there's
and
infinite supply of money.
this
There's actually an infinite supply of wealth and abundance. And that's what people don't understand. I think that's the real change is understanding like there's not an finite, even the money they're printed out of thin air, but that's not the fact. I mean, wealth and abundance itself, the energy, the frequency, it's
yeah,
infinite. It's the whole universe can give it to you if you just learn how to attract it. I'm sure for you own your own business. You've got a family. I've seen you in multiple businesses. You're investing. It's like you start this process of like, okay, I'm going to start creating wealth. Like, and
mm,
it's like it took me 5 years and I've created more money than I've ever had. And it doesn't have to be the same way for everyone. You could create a business or you could have a great idea. Even better, you can create, like you create something, be the creator, or you can start investing or you could just meet one person who likes it and goes, I have an opportunity for you. And
yeah,
do you know why how all that starts? It's because you start attracting it.
yeah, yeah,
It starts with affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful now that money flows to me in increased amounts through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm fully aligned with my true life's purpose.
yeah,
And you start working towards these things, and it literally starts with that. And then it's like I see wealth like a fruit tree. You do not eat the fruit the same day you plant the seed. Okay, you
yeah,
plant the seed, you water it, you grow it. You can't. You don't know. You don't even know if fruit's coming. And then like 4 or 5 years, if you're lucky, it might take longer. All of a sudden, you got a nice little beautiful orange or an apple, and here we go. And it's gone. And year by year, if you keep feeding it, fertilizing it, watering it, it grows and grows and grows and grows. And then one day you have a beautiful apple tree that can feed your whole community. And
yeah.
that's how it works. You got to keep developing it and you got to understand it takes time. And it's different for everyone how it works.
We talk about it as being a time preference, right? So a low time preference, it's like I don't need it today. You know what I mean? I'm happy
Yeah.
just to save and wait some time. Whereas the fiat
Yeah.
mindset is the high time preference, right? Like let's live for today. Let's buy all this garbage. Like this will
For
make us
sure.
happy. It might give me some pleasure for I don't know for however long. But never let that tree cultivate and grow and become what it needs to become.
100%, bro.
And then you'll
But that's the
find that by the time it's matured and it's bearing fruit, you
oh
stand back and you probably just like you say, might just pick the odd apple
yeah.
off, and you're not gonna just
Yeah.
decimate it, right?
Yeah.
There's
And you love it too. You
you
love it.
love
You're
it.
like, wow, okay, this is taking time. You understood the
Yeah,
process. You
yeah,
understood how nature works.
yeah,
You didn't just like, try and like dig it up and wonder if it was growing. You gave it time. You understood. You developed into it. And that's the real beautiful thing is like when you experience creating a wealth, you understand it's a creative process. You're
yeah,
tapping into a thing there. And I think just to go on your point there, like I think Warren Buffett said, if you can't invest for 10 years, don't invest for 10 days
yep, yep,
because this is not a short term thing. I'm looking 10 years down the line. Even
yep,
now, I'm in 5 years. I probably never sell all of my stuff. I will take profit and then invest into other things.
yeah,
You got to use those seeds to create more trees, and then you understand it's an ecosystem.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, see, Bitcoin is the thing for me, and we'll get
Yeah.
into this for sure. But
Yeah.
I don't even consider that to be. It gives me peace of mind knowing that I'm able to create some wealth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Money is not going to do it. I'll never save money.
I've
Whereas,
I've no money in the bank.
yeah, yeah, we're kind of the same in that. But what I'm saying is, you know, it's important for me to have this for my family's future, right? But then
Yeah.
also, it's not just the money. I don't want to die and then hand this money over to my
No.
family and they splurge it on Lamborghinis. So
No.
my job as being a father is to
Yeah.
instill those virtues and that belief in that
Absolutely,
in them
bro.
now, because so they don't actually need it either. You know what I mean? They can create their own wealth in this world.
Well, you want to teach them the secrets of how you done it. It's
Yeah,
like, well, how did you, like, I remember I've got a friend of mine, Campbell, wealthy man, you know, farming for 33 years, inspired me in many ways. And I said, how did you do it? And he sat me down and he goes, this is how you done it. And just to get that knowledge, you know, it's
yeah,
like, son, you know, I'm not going to give you my money. You know, I'm not going to do it. I want you to understand, because also, you know, people are in a mindset of like, if you're in a lack mindset, you're waiting to get something off someone,
yeah,
even your own parents. And that's a
yeah.
reality.
Oh,
And that's a
bro, I've seen
reality.
it.
And because, you
Seen it.
know, and even experiencing these things when yourself, you like, as a human being, this is natural. You want something from someone eventually, you know.
Yeah,
But if you can instill into your children the real power of what you're doing, it's like, son,
yeah,
you know, like, you need to create something yourself. You know, you need to be an individual, because I could give you $2 million, $3 million, and it might not bring any happiness. But if you create something for yourself, it's going to give you fulfillment.
mm,
You know, and fulfillment is way more important than money, because money isn't real. It's just
it's
like
not
it's
real.
just numbers on the screen. You know, the knowledge and the wisdom and the moment with your son, that's what really counts, you know?
I mean, we refer to the matrix all the time because that's the only best way to define it. Getting outside the matrix, getting outside the friggin' rat race, and you know,
Oh,
people.
bro.
You know, you've just said it, and I agree with you about converting your time for money. You know what I mean? Like, what
Oh,
is that? That's a fucking scam,
I
bro. That is
Well,
so
it's
bad.
actually there's three ways of making wealth. One is trade your time for money. One is
Yeah.
invest, and one is trade passive income. Trade your time
So,
for money, not unless you're a genius, right? An absolute genius, and you earn 100 grand an hour. You're never
mm,
gonna. You're always gonna be working for something. You're always gonna be. You're always gonna have like negative feelings towards, because you're on someone else's time and you're not actually living your full potential. You're never gonna get wealthy. That's a
yeah,
fact. Second is invest your money. The problem about investing money is most people haven't got money because they're stuck in the first realm, right? So
yeah,
they haven't got money to invest unless you're a builder like us, and, you know, we earn good money and blah, 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 blah. But even still, it's hard, you know? And then three is create passive income.
mm,
And that's the crack, bro. You need to be earning money. And you know what the thing about it is like, no one knows how to do it. I listen to a lot of Bob Proctor. He's amazing, amazing teacher. If anyone's watching this, watch Bob Proctor. Like, he's just he's
yeah.
a master teacher, you know?
He
And
is
like,
good.
he says it himself. It's like, you don't actually need to know how you're going to do it. All you have to do is actually start putting it into, like, okay, let's just start thinking of things, creating things, have a creative process. And then over years of developing it, you might come up with a genius. I'm not sure who it was. I might get this wrong, but I think it was Edison, maybe, who invented the light bulb.
Yeah, allegedly. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
right. 10,000 times
Yeah,
he tried. 10,000 times. Think about that. He failed. And on the 10,000th time he got it, he discovered the secret of the alchemy within. And people have to understand that you're going to have failures. Look at the Wright brothers. They were building bicycle mechanics.
yeah,
What
yeah,
did they say? Oh, we're going to learn how to fly. We're going to fly a machine. What did you give them said to them? So you're a bloody idiot. Why? Because they're going into their own constructs of their own limitations. That's a big thing that I say. And I really believe this, right? Don't listen to anyone.
no,
Don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to anyone else. Don't listen to anyone that doesn't inspire you. Even your own parents, even your teachers. You're looking at this person. Is this person healthy? Is this person have a black belt? Is this person like, you know, this inspiration that I want to become? If you don't want to become that person, don't listen to what they're saying, because they'll only put you in their own little box of what their beliefs are. And I
yeah.
think that's one of the most important things on earth. Like, don't believe anyone. If I was believing in other people, I would have never walked my journey, you know. And I'll tell my own kids that. I said, don't even believe me unless you feel like it's what you want to become, you know?
All right, there's heaps of things that you just said that I wanted to talk about, but
Yeah.
the first one about that is about the Wright brothers and that. So right, if is this person qualified to give me this information? You know,
Yeah,
like
bro.
so. I'll give you an example. I belonged to this group a couple of years ago, and we would meet a like high performance group, and we would
Yeah.
meet with other business owners, and then we would have a guest speaker from some business. And one of those occasions was this big time businessman from Auckland. I won't name him
Yeah.
or the business, but
No.
he just, when we were talking about him, what, give us some of your business tips, right? And one of the things he said was always do the right thing. And I just said before, that's a part of my mantra, if you like.
Yeah,
But
man.
when we hear this always growing up, but when he said it, it hit way harder. Do you know what I
Good.
mean? Because I was like,
There's a
this
transmission,
man,
though. There's a
he
transmission of success.
he knows. He knows. He'd
Yeah.
been running a pretty large company he was the CEO for 30 odd years, like the
Yeah.
CEO. When he
Yeah.
said, "I always do the right thing," man, it just hit like a ton of bricks, because that man's qualified to give that. And even though it
Yeah.
seems like such a platitude, it just I was, and then I just took it on straight away. Do you know what I mean? And
Bro,
I just I live by it now. And
it's
so
so important.
yeah,
It's the
man,
most
and
important thing, actually. It's the most important thing.
yeah. So getting the information qualified. There was something else that you said as well. I wanted to chime in on. Can't remember what it was. What were you saying? It was the Wright brothers, and then you were talking about. It was all good stuff. Anyway.
It's all good stuff. It was all good stuff. If you could find another time. But yeah, that's actually one of the rules. I'll just elaborate on what you said there too, because this is so important, even for me as a builder,
Yeah.
you're on your time, you're making your own time, and it's like every day you've got an opportunity to, like you do a little bit here, and the decision every day counts,
Mm,
and it's like most of the time I actually undervalue and I actually struggle with that myself because I'm like, oh, am I like, because it's so easy to give away your time too, but you gotta it's like a fine line. But doing the right thing and going the extra mile is actually one of the laws of success in Think and Grow Rich, right? It says
yeah.
always go the extra mile. Always go the extra mile, and it's like, and it's easy to say that. But when you're tired and you want to, but doing that little bit extra and doing the right thing, man, this is like this is some of the most important things in life. This goes for
Mm,
many things across the board, not just creating wealth, like actually doing the right thing and looking after people, and helping your community or whatever way, shape, and form. The power of that will give you spiritual wealth. None. That's the reason why I stopped building this, because like I can earn money, I can run my own business. So working for myself, working 4 days a week, doing whatever I wanted, and I still didn't enjoy it. So like, what's the
mm,
point? It's like I got to take a risk. I got to
yeah.
like take a leap of faith and go and do something else. Okay, there's no point in half-arsing this. You got to step into your true power, and even now, just this interview, I love this. This is so good, bro. I'm absolutely enjoying so much of this talking to you. It's fantastic. I feel like I've actually just realized now that we have so much chemistry and so much history in.
Crypto journey.
Sure.
My journey, I make no secret, is Bitcoin, because that's where I came from. And the reason that came to Bitcoin, because at around 2020, I was doing a lot of crypto stuff, got
Yeah.
wrecked, and that was my own fault. Just completely didn't listen to my own, because I was a big Buffett guy,
Yeah.
before that, traditional guy. So I would listen to a lot of what he would say, and I did completely the opposite, and
Yeah.
got found out. And then so the reason why I came out of the crypto and then started going into the Bitcoin, because it was something that I understood, which is a Buffett, is a Warren Buffett. What do you call it? One of his tips is always understand the
Yeah.
market, or understand what you're
Yeah.
investing in. So
Yeah.
again, I had the business. I'm not I would say overly tech intelligent
Yeah.
man, but I was
Oh
smart
man.
enough to know that this one here I can just allocate to this. But I'm certainly privy to the whole crypto
Oh yeah.
world, and I know that there's been insane money being made here and there, because it's the new world, right? It's the new world that we're moving
Mate,
into.
Bitcoin is the most appreciating asset of all time,
Yeah, it's
bro.
crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
the most appreciating asset of all
Yeah,
time
yeah,
ever. Think about that.
yeah,
Like it's a complete another unicorn. Like you couldn't imagine. You couldn't have imagined it went from a dollar to, I don't know, what is it? Like it's 200,000 NZ dollars. That's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
And
It's
and
insane. Like
bro,
like you took,
and it's so early as well, because the
yeah,
whole
bro.
world hasn't even really adopted. It's still quite a small market cap, biggest one in crypto, but in the grand scheme of
It's not
things,
even know.
it's kind of small. But bro, what was your first introduction to crypto? How did you start getting into that? We got into about the same time, but what was your
Yeah, bro, we
introduction?
did. We did. Well, look, like for me, everything's a spiritual experience, right? And it's like
Mm,
saying about like raising all these boats with the same tide, And I'll just give you my honest experience of how I started, And I started creating wealth in my mind, right? I was like, okay, I got given a book named The Science of Getting Rich. And I hated the name. I got given a book by a wise man, right? And he said, there's one man needs to read this book, it's you. And he actually gave it to me after I'd done my fast, And there was a few things there that like, all aligned with the same thing. And I hated the name of it. The science of getting rich, and my mind and
mm,
my paradigm of being rich
yep.
was, so, I looked at it as a negative thing. I was like, oh, I'm happy without it, blah, 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 blah. And then, I started creating wealth in my mind, and I actually became self-worth, like my self-worth. That's where it began. When I was felt self-worthy of true love, of receiving true love and receiving wealth and abundance came at the same time. And that was a blessing. And that was all through COVID, right? So I started all this, and then one day I picked up the book, and then it just ended up being this amazing book about the subconscious and like the universe and God and all these different things. And I just started like focusing, okay, it can happen in so many different ways for different people. You can create a business, you can do all these different things. But for me, I start actually having self-worth. I start looking after myself. I start feeling worthy of two things, self-love and true love, and creating abundance and wealth. So I started creating it within my mind, within my sphere already, and then eventually, it just started turning up. It was like, okay, I could start investing. I've never invested in my life, and it all started this way. Then I started like looking at crypto, had no clue what I was doing. Not like, not really advanced on computers, had no background on working online, none of that. And one day I was sitting around a bunch of friends and I was looking around and this fella had his own company, building company. This guy had his own building company. I'd sat in ceremony with this guy. I'd been to Palestine with this guy, and I'm looking around and going, all right, I might not know anything about crypto, but I am a master at reading people. And I says, these boys know what they're doing. These men know what they're doing. And then that was my first thing. I was like, okay, that was my intuition. I was like, right, why don't I invest? And I invested. I sold my car. I sold my car for $3,333. And I invested it all. And that was just before like the kind of bull run happened around 2020.
Mm.
And then it blew up to like 20 grand. And I was like, whoa, this is real. No, and then
Yeah.
it pretty much stayed there. It stayed there forever. And I was like, okay. And then I just kept getting signs. I kept getting signs from the universe. And I was like, okay, and I was like, all right, am I going to read this? And then all of a sudden one day I went, I have one chance at generational wealth. And they change all the money every 50 years. All right. They change every 50 years. It's a Hebrew calendar, right? Every 7 years is called the Shemitah. Every seven years, the 49th year is called the Jubilee year, right? And on the Jubilee year, this is a fact, they change over the money system. They change it over from gold to the petrodollar. And now they're changing it over from petrodollar to cryptocurrencies. So I was having all these things, these realizations, like, okay, this is happening in a big way. And I have one chance at this. And I was like, all right, I'm all in. I was just like, there was a point where I says, I'm just going to invest everything I can. And pretty much that's exactly what I've done. When I left Queensland, when I left my job or got sacked from my job for, not getting the injection, I sold everything I owned. Sold me $5,000 bike, sold me
Mm.
truck, sold everything I own, and I invested all in crypto, bro. I
Good man.
sold everything I own, and then I've just done the same again. I've sold everything and I'm still investing to this day, and like,
Mm. Yeah.
pretty much now I've been involved for 5 years, and how it all boiled down to was intuition and actually manifesting wealth within myself. And then crypto is just the flower of that intention, but it's really happened, and for me, I've created more money than I ever could have
Mm.
ever in 1,000 years saved. Like there's no doubt about it, and then you start to really understand what's happening. It's all a cycle. It's all a money cycle. That they say, if you want to become a millionaire, invest. If you want to become a billionaire, learn astrology, because they're using the stars, they're using the cycles. It's all a part of nature, and it has cycles. And of course, crypto has a 4-year cycle, which might change going forward, or who knows. But I mean, we're not even getting into the full bull run yet. Like it's just
Yeah.
it hasn't even happened. And I believe the end of this year is going to be absolutely huge. And the way I look at it is like, I've just done an apprenticeship in crypto,
Yep.
I
Yep.
question myself. I was like, I even question myself at some stage, like, why am I looking at so much of this stuff? I'm using a lot of my mind and time to look at this. And now look, fast forward 5 years, I actually have quite a bit of knowledge about what I'm
Yep.
invested in. And I really have studied it and I've changed my life. So it all started, my crypto journey basically started with actually an intention of creating wealth. And
Yep.
the crypto is just a flowering of that intention.
Yep. No, I mean, we talk about, because I've got my building company, right? And
Yeah, bro.
but that's never, like, full transparency. I love telling people this as well. It's not
Yeah.
generates more revenues
Yeah.
than if I was working for the man on the clock.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
it's one thing to operate a business, bro. It's another thing to make money. That's the real trick to
And
business.
mate,
That's
and
what I was
it's
going to say
really
before.
hard work.
You were talking before about what we fuck you just then you just I lost it again. We were
Okay.
talking about lost it again.
No,
Fucking
no,
hell,
no
that's
stress,
annoying.
bro. It'll come. It'll come. It'll come.
It'll come. But anyway, so talking about opera, because I'll often, there's a couple of things before we were talking about, it's almost this just do it thing, right? Like
Yeah.
people will ask me about, because I've been in business a while,
Yeah.
hey, I want some advice. And I just say, just do it, bro. There's
Yeah.
nothing that
Hey,
I can't tell you how to do this. You've got to do it.
you got to
You've
take that
got to
leap of
do it.
faith. You got to take the risk.
You've got to take the risk, man.
It's the only
Where was I
way.
going with that? But anyway, so obviously I'm with the Bitcoin and agree with everything that you say, because it's the same thing. So my business, it generates money, but you've got to take that money and invest it in other areas, which I've always done. But it's never been as potent as it has been with putting it into a hard money asset like Bitcoin. And
Beautiful.
so it's the same kind of result, if you like. But can we talk about what you are invested in? Are you happy to share that?
First, I've got a practice I want us to do to tune back into that original state. I want us to take a breath together. Okay. Can we do
Yep.
that? Okay,
Okay.
so on the count of three, take a nice big deep breath, and we're going to tune back in and flow into the greatest sky I've ever heard. All right,
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Let's do one more. Beautiful. And I want to add to what you were
That
saying.
sounds
The
better.
thing about having a business, a building business, bro, it's bloody hard work. A
Ah,
lot of stress, a lot of hard work. You'll have a lot of gray hairs when you're said and done with it. You know, you want to be involved with something that's creative and fun. You know,
I
and
know
like,
what the
and like,
point I wanted to make. I know the
yeah.
point I wanted to make is you're talking about the hard work. Oh fuck! I lost it again.
I hate the hard work, bro.
I'm not supposed to talk about this. Oh my god, I lost it again, man. I'm
No,
losing
bro,
my
don't
mind.
worry. It's all good. It's all good, mate.
Keep going.
Mate, it's not meant to. We've already
You
got so
just
much
said
gold.
something, and I was like, oh,
We've
that's what I
already
wanted
got
to
so
say.
much gold.
We were talking about that, how much hard work it was. What was it going to say? Oh my god, this is embarrassing.
No, it is. It's a bloody hard work, bro. Simple as that. Do you know what the thing for me is like? I'm
I
not
know what it
meant.
was. Let me
Yeah,
finish
go,
the
go, go.
thought. It's about failure. You were talking about
Yeah,
failure and talking about Thomas Edison with the 10,000. That's what I wanted to comment on. Because here's the thing, it's all failure.
it's all failure, bro.
Business is all failure. And then one day something works and you're like, cool. And then the next day you're back into failing again. And that's what people don't understand. People think that business is just win, 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 win.
Yeah,
It's
bro. It's jujitsu. It's jujitsu. It's one day you're the hammer and one day you're the nail, mate. It's as
That's
simple as
right.
that.
That was the point I was trying to make, is that it's never really win. I mean,
No.
ironically, the wins are the losses, because that's how
Yeah,
you get
that's
your
how you
experience.
learn.
When
Yeah,
I started my business, bro, I'd wake up in a cold sweat over
yeah.
anything because I just didn't have the experience.
Mate, uh, when I was building, like even when I was building, like when I was going like a little bit like next to the next level within my building and building like a small house for someone, I'd be
Yeah,
like, I'm up all night, bro, thinking
yeah,
about how I build this shit. I'm like, holy God, like how do people do this? I was like, no wonder everyone has gray hair and they hate it, you know? It's like for me, you know, I want to do something I'm more passionate about. I've attained the skills. I'm very proud as a man to be able to build my own house. I mean, it's powerful, right? It's like,
it's
it's one of those things.
powerful, bro.
I can teach my kids. He's like, right, you want his own room. Let's build your own cabin. Like, let's do it together, you know? But I'm going to put that in my back pocket. And then I'm going to take all those skills I've earned through hard work and, you know, being up on roofs and lifting and transfer that into like something more creative and more fun for me. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
I want to inspire people. I want to be around people that are fun. Like, and the more you can be around people that are like more involved with the same things you are, you know, and that comes to like I love creating wealth. I
yeah.
love the philosophy and the creative process of this. I'm so passionate about that. You know, I can't like talk about it enough. I love it, you know, because it's like happiness, health, and wealth. Like I want to be as healthy as I possibly can. I want to create as much wealth as I can, and I want to help as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know, it's as simple as that. Like that's not half it. Like hammer nails and standing frames isn't fun. And if you're running your own business, you know, you're risking a lot of reputation and the whole shebang on it there.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it's a big deal, but it is right. It's a lot of failure. And I seen a great quote the other day along that line too. Is that you know the most successful people are the people that are consistent and don't give up. You know, the
Yep.
people who lose, you know, they give up and they can't face the failure. You know, because it is embarrassing. It's just a reality. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's hard to take that you're not a winner. Everyone wants to be a winner, you know, but the winners are the
Yep.
ones that get the most losses and are on the match the longest. You know.
Well, I mean, I had a failed business with a good friend of both of ours a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, and you know that was horrible, bro, going through that. But
Wow.
I can honestly say, a couple of years after the fact, it was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my
Yeah.
business career, bro. Like the
Good.
amount of experience, you know, that like you can't pay for that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like I
Right.
know you can't pay for that. It was
Yeah.
it was pretty bad going through it. You know, I was lucky, bro, because I had a really supportive wife who didn't once, you know, scold me or, you know, go, why'd you do that? Because, you know, we
Wow.
lost a lot of our own money
Funny.
effectively, you know,
Yeah.
down the drain. But like I say, I can honestly say that, you know, probably, mate, it's over $1 million worth of business, you know,
But
lessons that you
lessons.
couldn't,
Oh, mate.
yeah, it's a bit.
Priceless. And it's only going through the fire is where you earn that. It's
Oh,
forged in the
that's it,
fire.
man. Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, it just as you grow older, and then nothing's a problem, you know. And this is that other part to the that mantra that I say, like, leave it in God's hands, because I just trust in Him 100%, and I
Yeah.
just it doesn't
100%.
matter. Just let
Exactly,
it do
bro.
its thing.
And as
Mm,
well, everything is working for if you truly have trust, you know. Now it's hard to really tune into this all the time because obviously
yeah,
you're in pain, you're suffering, whatever it is. But the fact is it's happening to you to help you. You know, and if
that's
you live
right.
that philosophy, it's actually happening for you. Like you're having this failure because like, you know, the next like that the billionaires, you know, make their biggest amounts of money just before their maybe or after
Yeah,
their
yeah,
biggest failure. You know, they have the biggest failure, and then they say it doesn't matter because as long as I'm focused on my end goal, no
Mm.
matter what happens in between, I'm going to develop and grow. I think that's the real mindset you have. It's like you know, if you're going to sail to Portugal, you know, and you've got a compass, or you don't like, okay, let's say it's northwest. It's like, okay, you know, I'm going to go that way, and this is the way to Portugal. I'm going to navigate the seas. Like, you don't aim south. Like, you might get caught in storms in the way, but as long as your compass is always pointing in your direction of your goal, you're going to get there eventually. And
Yeah.
that's a fact. And that's how it works is you got to stay focused and have a clear mindset on what you're trying to achieve, you know, and whether that's health, wealth, you know, happiness, whatever it is in your life, you got to stay focused on it and commit to that. And as long as you do that, I believe you'll be a success.
Yep. You don't know, you know it's that direction somewhere, but you don't know, you can't see it. You just make your way. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to make poor decisions along the way, but that's
Yeah.
just part and parcel of getting to where you need
You're a
to go.
human being. Like, look, and do you know the other thing I want to point on as well? None of us have it figured out.
Nah, nobody.
None of us have it figured out, bro. It's like even now I'm like living my dreams. I'm in Japan. I'm doing like, you know, what on paper looks great, you know, but I still have my own sufferings. I still am
Well,
like,
of
okay,
course.
like I still question myself. I'm like, okay, like what do I actually need to do? Like I have to literally recreate myself right now. And I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. But I know I have what it takes to become the man I'm meant to be, you know? So it's
Mm,
like it's not always gonna be like as they said, there's a saying, smooth seas don't make good sailors.
that's
You
right.
know, the best sailors you want on your boat are the men that've been through the storms.
Well,
Because you
bro,
know,
it's funny you say that because, and this goes back to what we're taught at school and that, like failure's bad. Oh, you got some questions wrong. You got to have to nail everything. But it should be the exact opposite. You should be making mistakes. You know what I mean? So, for example, that's why I love telling the story of my failed business or one of my failed businesses
and good on
because,
you for that, bro. That's
well,
amazing that
well,
is.
here's the thing. I know this to be true because I've experienced it. If I meet someone that's been bankrupt, then I'm like, this guy knows some shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, he's actually a valuable asset in another
Yeah.
business. Whereas the layman or the brokey or whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
would think that that's a stay away from that guy. But I'm like, that
Yeah.
guy knows. That guy knows.
For sure. He knows. And he knows how to work the system. Because
Well,
if he's filed for bankruptcy, he's probably still has a bit of money in his back pocket.
well, you know, I mean, I just because so we never went bankrupt with our business, but we certainly liquidated and you know, we lost a lot of our own money, which obviously hurts. But man, I know the stress that you go under.
Oh yeah.
It's all those things you talk about because I don't care what people think
Good on
because
you,
most
man.
people are too pussy to try that shit. You know what I mean? So you know, I love watching, you know, MMA, for example. You know, watch
Yeah.
the UFC and you're watching and I know you've been a fighter as well, but bro, I watch you those guys walking out to the cage and I'm just freaking out, going like, oh my God, I can't believe you're
Bro,
doing that.
I know. It's crazy. Like to have the whole world watching you and the pressure, like that's another level. But they know the reality is they're shit scared.
Oh
And they
yeah.
are.
But they
You know,
look
and
like
they're
they're in
scared.
their they look like they're in their you know, they're the, "This is my place,"
Yeah.
you know, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
and you're literally about to get locked in a cage with another
Yeah.
freaking animal, and nobody
Yeah.
can save you. I mean, that's friggin' out there, eh?
Well, I think like it's all the warrior spirit. It's because taking risks and the
Yeah,
unknown is all the warrior spirit. Same with creating wealth, you know. And it's like courage is not the absence of fear or despair, but it's the strength to conquer them. You know, conquering a failure. Martial arts is all failure, really. You're
mm,
never gonna like just jump in and win. Like you're gonna lose, and then you attain the skills to become a winner.
yeah,
You know, and
yeah,
same goes in all high level sports and competition. You know, creating wealth is the same thing. If you can
mm,
adapt your martial art mindset into creating wealth, you know, you're probably going to be successful because it takes 10 years to get a black belt. Like if
yeah.
you put all your energy into creating wealth for 10 years, you're probably going to earn some money, mate.
I mean, I've hired guys from the jujitsu gym and that over the years with building and
Yeah.
I always know they're gonna be good guys, especially if they know they're dedicated to jujitsu. I just like, oh, they're sweet, you know what I mean? They're
Well,
the
they're
right.
dedicated, they're disciplined, they've got a
Yeah,
passion, they tick all the boxes, like, you know,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
man who's stepping on the mats is better himself. So
yeah.
he's not gone and, you know, he's got a drive, he's got a strong will and dedication.
Yeah,
And that counts for a lot as a man.
yeah. Hey, so I think before we got cut off
Yeah.
before I was asking, are you able to share what you're invested
Yeah,
in?
bro.
Are you happy to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. So my investments are XRP. I'm invested in all the ISO 202 coins.
Right.
Okay. Do you know what that is? Okay. So but basically my belief system, I'm not like caught up by, you know, Bitcoin is obviously this like I felt like the Bitcoin boat was gone for me because it's worth, you know, so much money, you know, and I could invest now. But I believe that they're changing over the money system. So
Yeah.
I'm not just getting caught up in all the hype, right? I'm watching what the plan is. I'm watching the chess pieces being moved on the board, and they're changing the money system over to digital currencies so they can track all your money and control you, essentially. Of course, like that's the plan. I mean, look what's happening, you know? So for me, I believe Bitcoin is an incredible store of wealth. And I believe it is really like, it's like they created it as a flagship, almost like a Trojan horse to bring in this thing with this promise of you can break free of the banks. You can do all these different things, you know, but really like, why would all people with all the money give away the money? It doesn't work like that. You think some phantom in Japan created it in his apartment? No, you know, like I believe that was created by the system, of course, and to give people the sense of self freedom, you know, and invest in these things. And people became millionaires, billionaires off Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a sensation. But in the meantime, they're bringing in the background as Bitcoin is taking all this hype and this, you know, this bubble of freedom in the background. They've been investing and carrying in the new system, the new payment rails. So I'm invested mainly in XRP and Ripple and Stellar and Hedera and Algorand, and basically all the ones that are compliant with the banks. Because if you think that they're not going to be using these systems, these things for like the payment rails, you know, and look at Ripple, they're all in with the banks. They're out speaking with the World Economic Forum. They're literally in with every single bank. Like the connections are, it's been trialed. I think Japan is actually going live on XRP first. And you know why I'm in Japan right now? Because Japan is a massive cash-based society. They don't want you having cash. They want to tax your money. So I don't even necessarily think what I'm investing in is good. You know, I
Mm,
don't know. I think it's like, I think it's obviously a tool of control. If I'm going off my intuition and what it's saying, you know, it's a tool of control, but I'm going to become wealthy and attain my own land and have my own sources of food and water and all these things. That's the plan, you know? But
mhm,
what's happening now on astrological events too? We've just changed into the age of Aquarius, right? A lot of changes has happened. And Aquarius is an earth sign, okay? And it's telecommunications. So what's happening now? Technology is speeding up. All right. The slowest thing on earth right now is your fiat money. If I want to send you, I don't know, $1 million to Ireland, you know, it takes 4 or 5 days. And they're probably
yeah,
using that money, loaning it out in the meantime, you know? Money is slow. Where if I want to send you like a phone call or a message or anything, it's instant, you know?
yeah,
So what's happening now, the new quantum financial system is about to take place. And the internet of value is about to take place. Okay. So remember the internet, you know, 1 minute you're playing Snake on your phone, you're sending a text message, and next thing you know, you got an iPhone that's a satellite that can, you know, bring you all around the world and do everything, you know? Basically, what you're going to see is money, the internet of value take place where instant payments at all times, 24 hours, it's going to be around the world. It's all going to be on the blockchain. It's all going to be, you know, tracked and coded, and they can, you know, see every single bit of it. So you're not paying by cash and getting paid in cash so they can tax you, of course. And I personally believe that, you know, you got to see the wood through the trees. It's all great, the promise of, okay, financial freedom, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, the people who have all the knowledge, have all the power, control the media, control the banks, who own all the money, own all the land, probably own all the fresh water on earth now, they're not just going to give up all the money in the world for nothing, right? They're going to transfer it over. So for me, I looked at that as like, right, this is a game. Like the people in power who control the money, they're going to be making moves, you know? So I'm investing in what I think they're actually going to use in the future. And I believe
mhm,
that's XRP and Stellar and these ISO 202 coins. Now, the prices obviously aren't like astronomical like Bitcoin, but I just believe in I've invested in technologies. That's what I think. You know, I'm looking like, right, this is how it's going to do it. Think about trying to create a new financial system. Think of the level of, you know, alchemy and you know, to create this new world system. You know, it's the highest level stuff. You know, and like these telecommunication, instant payments, everything's going to be tokenized on the blockchain. Like these sort of things is happening, and I can't even fully understand that yet. But I
mm,
just believe fully that like I'm all in, and I've had great financial rewards for that. But I honestly think that like that there's no limit of what's going to happen. Like your mind can't think about a quantum financial system yet because it's like trying to think when you're using, you know, a 3210 compared to an iPhone now. The technology is going to be so vast. You've got AI happening. Like it's just beyond what we can even comprehend. So I believe truly it's a blessing. And I believe I've been blessed and I've had the opportunity to see the opportunity. So that's where I'm at. I'm all in. I've
mm.
changed my life already.
What's H bar? I don't really understand what that is. I haven't. I used to own
It's a
XRP, so
Dara hash grab. Essentially, it's all like payment rails. They're like these new payment rails. You know, I know most about XRP. That's my main holding.
okay,
I hold small bits of like XRP, Stellar. They're all these payment rails. You know,
right,
and essentially, what XRP can do is it can transfer anything into anything. If I want to
yeah,
send you $100,000 into rubles, it takes 3 seconds, and it's the fastest and the cheapest technology of transferring wealth. You can
Mm,
transfer anything into anything, and it's like literally like these payment rails of how they're going to send money. I can send you $1 million in 3 seconds. Think about
mm.
that. That's
Yeah,
that's a fact. So what is what's going to happen is that this liquidity cycle is going to happen because obviously all of the I believe maybe Ripple is actually the solution to this debt crisis because they've got all this debt. You've got trillions of dollars of debt, all in Nostro Bostro accounts, and they need to liquefy it. They need to transfer it into other aspects of the system, because all right now it's just stagnant energy, and the system's going to die. Like the system is dead. It's dead in the water, and Bitcoin,
absolutely.
like I believe Bitcoin is probably the new store of value. It's like the new massive store of value. It already is. It's worth more than you could even imagine. So I think these new technologies, what we're about to see is we can't even imagine yet. It's going to be the new financial system. It's going to be all in the blockchain, and it's all going to be AI based. And the next 20 years, it's going to speed up so fast that we won't
Oh,
even be able
bro, I
to.
mean, we're talking the next 3 years because,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
like look at what's happening with AI. Like we didn't even have that 2 years ago.
I know.
Now it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's like this is not a joke. It's like these supercomputers, these like this quantum financial system is going
Mm.
to be the real matrix. you know, and we don't know if it's good or bad, but all I know is it's happening, and they're changing over the money system. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. Look at it, like it's just it's
So
our control.
So,
Yeah,
so I have a different view on Bitcoin because I think it was probably designed more by cypherpunks. I don't think that because of the open source technology, there is no backdoor. So it's not like anyone could go ha ha and pull the rug out from under
yeah,
anyone and say,
yeah,
"Well, we were just." Because there's no reason why they whoever
yeah.
they are
The system.
would create a technology like Bitcoin that works
Yeah,
perfectly, I might add, to then try and rug it later on down the line. Because I run my own node, for example. I don't know if you're familiar with how the blockchain works, but I've got my own individual node. So the more nodes that are connected to the network, so people in my circle now, that's kind of the once you're serious about Bitcoin, you'll run your own node, which just
yeah,
decentralizes the network even more, makes it more
yeah,
difficult for any sort of. I mean, it's not corruptible. There's computer nerds that have been trying to break this thing since day one to
yeah,
try and find backdoors, to try and find ways of corrupting the protocol, and the
yeah,
reality is they just can't do it. I mean, China's tried it, the US certainly tried it. That they just can't stop it. The only Yeah, I mean, even in countries where it's illegal, they're still using Bitcoin, peer to peer, peer to peer.
yeah,
So I agree with you that maybe, XRP and they'll be quicker to make payments, but
yeah,
I use the Lightning network all the time. So we have on chain, which is the slow version, but again, my node will verify my transaction, my own individual transactions. But then in terms of the Lightning network, I use like a wallet of Satoshi, for example. Places around town. That's just like doing a tap and go. So
yeah.
you can use it for money as well.
Oh, for sure. Well, I use it for mine for as money as it. Like I've got cards that are just straight, like
Yeah.
it's like I have bank cards that are straight access to my crypto, And the thing about Bitcoin, like I haven't got lots of knowledge on Bitcoin because I'm not
Yeah.
investing in it. I have my own views, my own intuitions. Like, okay, I'm going to go this way and see what happens. And but what I do believe is like the money system is changing over. There's no doubt.
100%.
100%. It's all going
100%, bro.
digital. And like, no matter what your beliefs are, you got to be involved because it's like a
Yep.
once in a lifetime opportunity. They change over the money system every 50 years. Like it's happening. So for me, I just see this as a massive opportunity, and it's come at the same time as so many other blessings in my life. So, um, I'm all in on this stuff. Like I really believe like this is happening. And as well, like, what's your views on for the rest of the year? Like, I mean, like, cause the bull run hasn't really even fully happened, like
It's
what do you
so
expect?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, there's so many differing opinions about it. There's some, I'm just talking exclusively about Bitcoin because
Yeah.
that's what I follow. There's guys that have been in for a long time say that we go for a big crash down to 70K. But
Mm.
my own logic and reason is I don't see how, because, we've got all this institutional adoption now, unless there
Yeah,
was like, like these sovereign wealth funds, for example, that they've got so much capital to invest, still effectively dipping their toe at the moment, or they're getting
yeah,
exposure through the ETFs or the treasury companies because they
yeah.
can't directly get exposure. What I realized, because I went to Las Vegas for the Bitcoin conference earlier in the year, so
Oh, nice, bro.
that was a really big eye-opening sort
I
of
can
experience.
imagine.
Bro, it was like 35,000 Bitcoin,
Crazy.
but it was heavily because I sit in two fields really. I'm the self-sovereign kind of guy
Yeah,
we were talking about before, but then of course I want to use it as legitimate
yeah.
money, for business and whatnot.
Absolutely, bro. You have to be able to
Yeah,
use it. You have to be able to use it. You know, you
yeah,
like,
that's right.
and you have to take profit. Like,
So the Americans are obviously more in that sort of way, even though there's some freedom guys there. It was massive into the mining scene. That would blew my mind how much Bitcoin mining is bigger than ever. I thought it was kind
yeah,
of not a good business to go into, but I was wrong there. There's so many different mining companies, but then all the financial products and services that are Bitcoin based, or they also had a lot of other altcoins and
yeah.
that there as well. It wasn't just exclusively Bitcoin, but to your point, it's just changing the whole system. So like
Mate,
now, I don't even really I use a New Zealand bank account for my business, but my own personal
that's it.
funds is not.
Yeah,
It's
same.
I think it's from Puerto Rico or somewhere like that, because I don't
Offshore
mind.
accounts,
Yeah, that's what
bro.
I'm saying.
You want
I don't
offshore
mind.
accounts, like otherwise you get taxed. Like it's crazy, you know.
Exactly. So I use a debit card that I get 7% points on. It's I don't use Bitcoin because I just borrow against my Bitcoin because I'm not about
Yeah,
selling it.
nice,
So I can
bro.
get so I just get USD like a stable coin basically. I use it like a debit card, like to your point, because it's a loan that there's no tax event there,
Yeah,
and
bro.
that's how I live now. So I'm kind of, I'm real big about trying to get outside the system. To your point, maybe that that there's some bad actors come out of the woodwork and go, "Ha ha, we're all you're fucked." But until that time comes, I'm going to trust
Yeah.
my own intuition and knowledge and try and live a different way.
Well, at the end of the day, you're making your own rules, right? And you're
Yeah,
you're you're actually living your own life, and you're creating your own wealth. At the, day
yeah,
to day, that's how you're living your life. Same for me. I'm traveling the world, and
yeah,
I'm living off my investments. You know, in the
yeah,
right ways. I'm not paying tax to any like jurisdiction. Yeah, I'm literally like, okay, I'm out here making my
yeah.
own rules, in control of my own wealth. I have all my own wealth in my own, like only I can access it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like people don't understand that. People don't have that, and it's like when you start changing those rules and taking sovereignty over your own experience, it's like most people are just living paycheck to paycheck, and that's just a
Right.
reality for so many people until you break free of that. And it's very hard. They say it's
It's
hard to make it. The hardest is to make your first 100 grand, and
yeah,
then as you start developing, okay, 200 grand, 300 grand, and getting close to that million, it actually gets easier. But that first 100 grand is the hardest to make.
yeah,
People don't even have $1,000, maybe $1,000, and that's just
yeah.
a reality for so many people.
And then the other thing too, which I don't mind talking about, is the tax man, and that like everyone's always like they think it's this noble thing to pay tax. I'm just like, fuck the tax man, bro. But because look
Mate,
what they do with it. They just wasteful spending. They don't even need taxes. They can just print that shit
bro,
into
they're printing money out of thin air.
yeah,
It doesn't exist. It's not backed by
doesn't exist.
anything. It's not backed by anything, right?
Yeah,
They're printing it out of thin air. Then they're loaning it to you,
yeah,
all right, and putting you in a mortgage and a debt-based cycle for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And then they're taxing you on the money you're making.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Like,
bonkers.
I remember I said to my mom, I said, "Man," and when I started to create like this, like what a realm for myself, and she's
Yeah,
probably like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." But now she's like, "Wow, that's pretty good." I was like, "Mom, they're printing it out of thin air." And she's like, "No,
yeah.
they're not." Like, she's like, "They actually are. Like, they're like printing the
Mm,
money out of thin air." And the reality is that my mom, hardworking, honest, beautiful Irish woman. Every job she's in, she's got a promotion. She's just an amazing worker, and she realizes now that, like, a couple of years later, she's like, "Oh wow, my pension actually isn't gonna do the job," and it's like, that's why I'm working now to invest all
scary,
this
yeah.
money. Yeah. And she's like worked all her life and done everything right, but like actually the system is failing her. So
Yeah.
I'm working now investing on this other realm, to actually retire her correctly, and that's
Mm,
my plan. I want to retire my mom,
mm, mm,
because, the fiat system doesn't like it's, there's so many things that are holding you back, from creating wealth. It's like, as long as you're working for other people, as long as you're, in this like cycle of survival state, you're never going to create true wealth. You got to expand into these other realms. Crypto is such an amazing experience. Like any crypto guy, you meet they're a certain type of person. They're like, oh yeah, just living their own life. Some people have created incredible wild dreams, really like for living in that fully abundant, wealthy state. And it's all because of they managed to see the wood through the trees. They got in at the early opportunity. They took the risks too. I could have lost everything. I
Yeah.
invested a lot of money, bro. A lot of
It's all
money.
about risk taking, eh? It's all
Yeah,
about
it
risk. There's
is.
nothing about
It,
hard work. I mean, there's a part of that that comes into it, but
yeah,
ultimately it's about risk, isn't it? It's like
it
putting your
is.
dick on the line
You
and
have
just
to.
going for it, like, and that, but
Absolutely.
yeah, this is the thing. Like I always talk about the matrix and that, and because
Mm.
that's the easiest way to describe it. But I just call people like, tell me you're plugged in without, telling me you're plugged in. And it's things like that, like, doing the right thing, paying your tax and being the
Oh
good
my
boy.
God.
Like, fuck that, bro.
It
Like,
makes me sick.
yeah, because there's a game and there's rules of the game, and then you just
Yeah.
don't know the rules. You don't know how to play the game, so you just
They
get
don't even
ripped.
know the game. They don't even. I always take it. I have an analogy. It's like, okay, like who catches a fish? What does a fish go after? He goes after a lure.
Mm,
The fish only sees the lure. What about the line? What about the
mm,
rod? What about the
mm,
man in his waders up on the bank with his fishing rod and his hat and his
mm,
sunglasses? Like, you don't see all that. Everyone just focuses on the lure. It's like,
mm,
no, like there's a whole thing happening here.
yeah,
You need to study money. You need to look past it. Like, and you need to find out really what's happening. And when you peel back the layers, it's all an absolute game to suck your creative wealth and
yeah,
keep you debt and
yeah,
for them to live off you, basically,
yep.
and they're
Oh,
living great. But in saying that, these people who are in control of the system, they haven't got hearts, they haven't got love in their life. So they're the ones really suffering. Money doesn't give you anything, it only amplifies what you have, and as long as you're trying to control and, take advantage of people, you're never really going to be in a hard state. So that's the way I look at it. As like, just because you have money and power doesn't mean that you're actually, a beautiful, happy person, or
I
blessed.
mean,
They're not blessed. They're not blessed people. They're cursed.
it's just, yeah. I mean, I just believe that corporations, because there is that book, The Corporation. I don't know if you've ever read it, and it talks
Yeah.
because they have done a psychological profile on corporations, and basically they
Yeah.
are sociopathic and psychopathic
Oh, for
by
sure,
nature.
man. For
But
sure.
the thing is that the people that are working within the corporations are probably guys like you and I. It's just that
Yeah.
then you start feeding into the machine, and because you're just doing your job. But
Yeah,
the
exactly.
reality is, it's the machine that's actually the
If,
dark
yeah. Well,
energy.
people are trying just to do the right thing. It's like,
Yeah,
even looking at the protests and everything else, you have police, like
yeah,
going up, like I was literally saying to a policeman, I said, mate, I can't go in and buy a loaf of bread. Like,
yeah,
do you not understand what's happening here? Like, and
yeah,
he's just looking at me, oh, no, now I'm just doing my job. So yeah,
yeah.
but you got a choice to make. You got a choice to make, but that's what the lure of money and success is. It can make you make the wrong decisions, and it goes back to your point of always doing the right thing. If you're not doing the right thing, mate, you're going the wrong way.
Yeah. And that's the thing, bro. There's a lot of dark energy in the world, but there's also a good amount of light as well, and good
Mate,
opportunities. So it's just what side that the ledger. But that's what I mean, like being a Christian, and that just gives me strength and conviction to know that, oh well, like God's the
100%.
most important thing. So
That's
I
number
mean,
one.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
your faith and your spiritual growth is number one.
number one.
And your health and your well-being, that's the same thing. That's up
Yeah,
the top tier. Creating wealth and the life you want to live, and having the people that surround you with are like, these are the top things you need to focus on. It's either you have two choices. You work and you trade all your time for money, or you decide to take risk and move in another direction. And it's a actual fact that it takes no more energy or will or anything else to decide to go and live your dreams and become fully financially free than it does to just coast along and survive and suffer, like, and just work your whole life away. It takes no more energy. It's a simple decision. And once you make that decision, clear decision in your mind, it's like, actually, no, it's my God given right to be financially free. I deserve it. I'm a good person. That's when the moment changes. Like, okay, let's go.
bro. There was years and years ago. There was it was a meme before they were even called memes, and I can't even remember how it went, but I always remember the sentiment. It was exactly that. It had a picture of, I think there might have been Einstein and a few of those types of people
Yeah.
on the. It was a meme, but it wasn't. We didn't have memes then. It was sort of. It said something about these great men. Why did they become great, or something to that effect. And then at the bottom was like, decided. They made a decision, and that's how
Everything
it
falls
starts.
back to a decision, bro.
They made it.
Everything
They
is a decision.
decided. Yeah.
You decide
And
who you want to be and say
yeah,
no to everything that isn't that.
yeah,
Everything
yeah,
boils down to decision, bro. And it's like, that's what real leadership boils down to too. Good decision making, quick
yeah,
decision making.
yeah,
If you can make
yeah.
a clear decision in your mind, that's it. That's actually
Yeah,
what it boils down to. You need to decide you want to do it. You need to decide that you're going to become wealthy. You decide that you're going to have good health. You got to decide that you're going to be a good person too. That's a big
yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I always think about, in business, like that's one of my strengths is being able to make a decision. And I always preface it by
Yeah,
going, they're hardly ever the right decision, but in those moments, you need to decide, you need to
you
make a
do. You got
decision
to take
to
it.
do
Yeah.
something. And then you might have fucked it up, but anyway, at least you made a decision. You're not just standing there like frozen, like, what do we do? What do we do?
No, exactly. And I really see that coming through on what you're saying here, bro, and your humility and your honesty. I'm really picking up on.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
see that now. That's a great strength too. It's a
well,
great
the way
strength.
another part of being a Christian, and this is back to before being a hater and sort of,
Yeah.
like, who am I to judge, bro? Since when was I Mr. Perfect? I went through my life thinking I was the perfect guy. Why are they
Wow.
doing that? Why are they doing that? Why are they not being exactly like me, like freaking Mr. Perfect over here?
Yeah.
Wow, what have I ever done that's so great? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
I'm nothing. I'm just like everybody, like, I'm nothing. Like, what? Who am I to
You got to
judge?
check yourself. You got to check yourself multiple times a day. Like
Yeah,
I find like the first thought is judgment, okay, and then the second thought is like that the God and the devil. It's like, all right, your first view is like, oh, you judge that person because maybe they don't look like you or something, or you have a judgment, and then the
whatever
second thought is
reason.
like, oh no, hold on a second, who are you to judge? This person's
Yeah,
probably beautiful, and I actually had a great experience with that today. I seen someone wearing something funny, like outrageously funny. I was like, oh, and I was kind of like, that's funny. And I didn't say I'm completely open. But then I had an amazing conversation with them after, and
yeah,
I was like, wow, I like this person, and it's
yeah.
amazing how the mind works, but you got to give it time within yourself to mature in those ways that, you're definitely not perfect. No one knows what they're
No
doing.
one.
No one fully understands the whole system, the universe. We only have opinions and conditioning, essentially.
It's embarrassing to think that, you can judge other people, isn't it? It's like, wow, what
Judgment is one of the worst things you can do. Like it's really actually one of the worst things you can do.
yeah.
And if you find someone who judges others, and especially verbalizes judgment, that's a clear indication that that's how they think people think of them. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful of that. It's judgment is probably one of the worst things you can do.
Well,
You
I
know.
think I agree with that 100% because I was that guy, I would judge people, but then I had no confidence in myself to actually do anything, and I think that's like, starting the podcast, there's no ambition, like of
Bro,
to
I
like
love the
want to be
podcast.
great, but just an opportunity to talk with people. I don't care
Right.
if anyone listens or if they do or where it
I
goes or whatever.
absolutely love it. When I seen you doing the podcast, I was like, yes, yes. And now that I'm on the podcast, I just love it. And it's like, it's about crypto. It's something that's like real in the world. You're talking about the most appreciated asset in the world. It's not a joke. Like
Yeah.
what else do you want to talk about? Do you want to like do some shit memes or like talk about, like garbage that no one cares about? Look at the stuff on the internet. Like there's so much garbage and people tune in for that stuff. Like, let's talk
Yeah.
about the real shit. Let's talk about actually what's happened. Like, even to sharing what our experience of COVID, that is the
Yeah.
realest things in the world, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so happy to be able to capture this. It's so great because you're talking about really powerful things.
Yeah. Now, I was just
Really
going to say
powerful.
before when you're talking about when you're judging people and you said you had a really good conversation with someone. What about that experience when you go to a gym and you're going to do some jujitsu and you'll always catch the eye and go, oh, that guy looks like who's that
Oh, bro.
motherfucker? And you
Mate,
sort
mate,
of
mate. The
then
dynamics of jiu-jitsu are insane.
then you roll and then you're like, oh, I love you, like
Bro,
you're best mates.
you have like this, there's like the dynamics of people you row, you have like the enemy, blah, blah, but you earn respect.
Yeah,
There's something that happens in the moment there, where
definitely.
it's blood, sweat, and tears, and like you think because energies are real, you feel energies, and like if you don't connect, and like okay, like there might be a little bit of ego. Whose ego is it mine or is it his? Is it like what's going on here? But it's both the same thing. And then
Yeah,
fire beats fire, and off you go, and that's why jiu-jitsu strips back everything because the role reveals everything.
yep,
It
yep. You're
reveals
dead
how you
right.
hold yourself. It reveals your mana, your strength, your will, your
Yep,
weaknesses.
yep,
And that's why it reflects so much. Martial arts reflects so much in our life because
yeah,
it's just a condensed moment of what life is actually like.
yeah, yeah. Hey, bro, before we shoot off, let me just tell me the what's the vision, bro? So you're in Japan for a while, and then you're gonna scooch off to Mexico. What is your
So,
plan? Do you have one or
so
what?
my plan is to come to Japan on a samurai journey. I've got a samurai. I'm cutting some katanas tomorrow, and I'm doing all sorts of samurai shit. Training I'm in training. I've got
I
training
seen
tonight.
you on training.
I got
Awesome.
got striking and MMA training tonight. So I'm locked in for 6 weeks of training, and then I'm going to Mexico. So I'm going to meet my partner in Mexico. She's running a workshop, a women's workshop, and we're going to just spend 6 months in Mexico, and then I'm going to Texas to train.
Nice.
So pretty much just on a journey, and obviously at the meantime, crypto is going to explode. I just really like just kind of and develop myself. I'm gonna take profits. I'm gonna and start a business online. That's what I'm gonna do.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I'm basically setting out to create a martial arts, well-being, abundant mindset lifestyle, and that's what's gonna happen. And this is the start of it. So it all starts with jiu-jitsu and training. Because once you start getting into shape and betting yourself and surrounding yourself with the right people, all the rest to happen. So, and then even just development of doing this podcast. Like I love podcasts. I love all this. And yeah, I'm just very grateful. To be even on this with you, bro. I love you, bro,
Bro.
and I'll pray
Likewise,
for you
man.
too, bro. I'll pray for you too.
Pray for you
We can
too,
play
brother.
now, bro.
I gotta shoot. I got jujitsu to go to, bro.
Yeah, bro. Man, of course you do. What else would you be doing?
But I do want to acknowledge you, bro. You're an awesome man, and it's been great getting to know you over the years, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
great to connect again. And I know
bro.
that I knew you're going to be out there doing some really cool stuff because that's just how you are, and it's great to see you out there, on Instagram because.
Yeah,
I'd often ask some of the boys, "Oh, has anyone heard from Paddy? Does anyone know where Paddy is?" And occasionally, someone will say, "Oh, I think he's here. I think he's there." So it's
yeah,
awesome, bro, to have a chat to you. And yeah,
yeah,
like
bro.
yeah. Do you remember? Actually, I'll share that when I was a white belt and you were a purple belt and you kicked my ass as the first.
Oh,
Yeah, it was the
you
first.
needed it,
It was
bro.
the
You
first
needed it.
beating that I ever had. I always remember that.
Oh, mate, don't worry. There's still many more to come. I know you've probably got a brown belt there. I've still got. There's still a target on your back, bro. I'll be still coming
Yeah,
after. Don't
mate.
worry.
Oh, I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
I know you are. I'd say you're a lot better now.
I've passed the gift
Pass the torch on.
along. Yeah, bro. I've done it a few times, but no, it was a fond memory because I'd never been in that situation, right? And I was like, what is going on? And all respect, bro, because it's good, isn't it, to feel that.
Well,
I
do you
don't.
know what? Do you know what I always do? It's like, I don't like to play around. I like to
Yeah,
roll. Like, we're not like obviously everyone's different, but I know you're a warrior, and I was like, well, I know this guy's tough, so I gotta make sure he knows what this is all about. So
yep.
I remember we had a decent roll. And I knew you were strong. I was like, okay, this fella's gonna be good one day. And that's why
Mm.
it's like anyone who has potential. And you're a brown belt now, right?
No, purple still.
Purple belt.
Purple.
I mean, you're a purple belt, still massive. It's like, this is not a joke. It's like anyone who's gonna walk that path.
Yeah.
They could get it. The same happened to me, bro. And I used to think I was tough. And I remember I walked in, I got tapped by 7 times with one purple belt. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
and I loved every bit of it. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what is this fella
Yeah.
doing? I was like jumping at him and, flailing around. And I was like, wow, I got to learn this shit. And it's those ones, even now, that brings back a memory of me getting tapped by a purple belt. And he literally tapped me 7 times, and I
Oh,
was like, all right, and it was 5 minutes. So I was like, all right, this works, and I love it, man. I live for it, bro. It's the
yeah.
way to work. Like, this is it, but this is what it's about. I know that's like another powerful thing in your life, walking the way of
Yeah.
the warrior is no joke. It has all the same things: integrity, respect, you're bowing. Like even the act of bowing, you're showing pure respect to these people, and it's blood, sweat, and tears, and that's what makes people. That's what makes men,
Yeah, man, you're going hard, eh? It's awesome. Hey, bro, great to chat. Thanks for coming on Fiat Is
Mate.
A Scam, brother.
Oh, bro, and here, like, share any bit you want, even all the good stuff about COVID. I love all. I share all of it. I'd love to
100%.
get as much as I can get out of this.
Nah, wicked, bro. Thanks,
Yeah,
brother. Appreciate you, man.
yeah, no problem. Have a blessed day, bro. Okay.
Awesome.